Welcome to a quick overview of FluidDraw. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to cover is the key features of FluidDraw and what benefits it brings to the customers. We're going to deal with projects and pages, how they help you organize your work and make you more efficient. We're going to deal with circuits, pneumatic and electrical, how to draw them, best practices, and that sort. Last thing, we're going to deal with best practices and tips. So let's discuss the key features of FluidDraw. The main one is that it helps you create standardized documentation for your machine or system. So this means that the FluidDraw is beyond simply a drawing software. It is not just there to create your pneumatic and electrical circuits, but help you organize and standardize everything that you're doing. This includes making sure that all the little admin stuff when it comes to drawing, and especially when you're dealing with larger projects, are already done for you in FluidDraw, and we'll cover these in the later section. Let's look at some of the features of FluidDraw. The main one that everybody knows is that the FluidDraw provides all the symbols in nicely organized libraries. These are pneumatic and electrical symbols that are easy to find and sort and use whenever you need them. The other things that are available is the FluidDraw links to your online and offline baskets, be it the Quick Search Plus or the online shop, and you'll be able to download and link all the items that are in your basket and put them directly into FluidDraw so you can start working with those parts right away. There's extensive drawing functions, and one of the things that is not really known about very well is that it has a very extensive multilingual project based. In North America, we're not usually tasked with these things, but we do have a large French and Spanish speaking population that this feature could be very useful and makes us different from all the competitors out there. What does this mean? We'll cover in later videos. The other one is extensive reporting structures. What does the reporting mean? It's your bill of materials, list of wiring diagrams, and all those things that are hard to put together and time consuming for customers when they're doing drawings for projects and systems. This allows them to make these things very quickly, very easily, export them to a comma separated file, and send them on to whatever other system they need to do. There is a user-defined databases, so if the extensive drawing formats, symbols, everything else is not enough for customers, they can easily and quickly create their own and move on with their projects and use them in future projects. First, let's talk about where to get the software. Easily enough, as I said, software is available on the Festo app world. That's the main portal for all the digital content that Festo provides. You can download the software from the support portal on the regular page, be it on Fox or the old systems if you're still in Canada. So the other way to download the software is to provide your customers with a direct link, which is basically a drop-in for the support portal. They can download it and install it, no issues, with or without a license. The main thing is when you need to get a license, you want to get into the software, you have to go to the Festo app world, which requires the customers to create an account. Once you get into the Festo app world, there is going to be a couple options available for you, and we'll cover that next. Let's talk about some of the licensing options available for FluidDraw. There's two basic types that are available for customers. There's the annual subscription fee or the permanent license. Just like it implies, the annual subscription fee is an invoice that is going to be sent to the customers every 365 days, and the software is going to be kept up to date, including any upgrades. Eventually, when the software goes to version 7, so they'll get an automatic license that will be able to be used with version 7. With a permanent license, you have a one-time fee, you get to use it and have all the upgrades as long as it's in version 6. Once Festo has upgraded to version 7, then the customer will have to make the decision to either upgrade or continue using version 6. There is a third option available. On the Festo app world, customers can log in and request a 30-day trial license. This trial license will allow the customers to use the software fully for 30 days to make sure that it fits into their systems and it's something that will bring them value. You can log into the Festo app world and take them step by step to that. I will include the instructions on how to use the licensing software and included in how to get a trial license. Let's talk about projects and pages. Projects and pages are one of the key features that Festo FluidDraw bring to the table. This is not just a drawing software, like I mentioned before. It's not only there to create your pneumatic and electrical drawings. This is a way to organize your project. This way, you have a systematic way to make sure that all the drawings are going to be named in a certain convention, located in a certain convention, including, if you like, the drawing size. Is it an A4, A0, whatever format you want to standardize on? This can be already pre-done in a template that can be easily stored and saved for future projects. Other things that can be stored that are very useful are bill of materials, drawings that are already preset with bill of materials, wiring callouts and diagrams, everything and all the administrative stuff that is done with projects and systems can be fully automated in FluidDraw. Let's talk about pages. Pages are something that is very traditional when it comes to what people think of FluidDraw. This is where all the drawings are set. This is where your bill of materials are done. This is where your tables and reports are going to be shown. Just like in a page on a regular CAD operating system. The main thing to note is the attributes, including the title blocks and layouts and everything else that is associated with a page of drafting, can be pulled from the global settings, which are at the project level, or modified at a page level. Therefore, very simple things as if you standardize on a sheet size, be it A4, A2, or A0 for your projects, but then for some reason, this one can be changed to another standard. So this can be modified at a page level. This gives a lot of flexibility to customers and allows them to work to what they need to do.
Welcome to FluidDraw. Let me show you around a little bit. First thing I want you to notice is the new ribbon bar. In version 6, Festo has switched away from the traditional menus to the more familiar and industry standard ribbon bar. As you can see here, the tabs should be very familiar to everybody, with the File tab on the left-hand side and the Help tab on the right-hand side. This was done to make finding features and tools in FluidDraw a lot easier for all the users. Next pane we're going to talk about is the library pane. This is one of the ways to insert symbols into your drawings, and it's a visual representation of all the different symbols that are available in FluidDraw. As you can see here, they're organized in subfolders from drawing elements to electrical symbols to pneumatic symbols and so on. To see what the rest of the FluidDraw is going to look like, we have to open up a new project. So under the File tab, just click on New, Project. First thing that pops up is a window that you can set your global properties. So these are properties that are going to be copied down to every single page in the project. Don't worry about these because at the page level you can modify every single one of these properties here. So for instance, if you want to set a drawing size for your whole project or your whole company is using A4, A0, whatever it is, you can set it at a project level, and then if it doesn't make sense for one of the pages down below, you can change this. But for now, let's just give it a name and click OK. So the next pane we're going to talk about is the main pane right here, where it is the project view. This is where you're going to insert all your components and draw your diagrams and circuits. So the next pane we're going to talk about is the project pane. So this is where your project tree is going to be to help you organize your project. Right now, as you see, we only have one subfolder and one page in our project. To be able to see some of the possibilities and the powers of this pane, says Festo has included a template. So all we have to do is click on New, Project from Template, and click on the example. Click OK, give it a minute to load up. And as you can see here under the project pane, now it gives you an example of what this can look like and how this will be able to help you organize your project or machine. So with subfolders for all the different elements. Here what they've done is they've split off the pneumatic and the electrical drawings and also the reports. So it makes navigating your whole project a lot easier. So as we're talking about the project pane, the project attributes finally loaded up. Here, you can set your global attributes as per any other project, changing the name and any other aspects of the project. For now, we're just going to click OK. So let's create a page and get some work done. On the right-hand side, if you have a sophisticated tree like this in your project page, one of the easiest ways to add a page to your project is to just right-click on the subfolder that you're looking for and add a new page. The pop-up with your attribute comes up. We're just going to rename this page. As you can see, since the global attributes have already been set to include a title block, it has been put into our page automatically. Now let's insert some components. The libraries are organized very logically with your drawing elements up front, electrical components, your pneumatic symbols, and Festo components right here. So let's find a flow control. When you open this up, Festo remembers which subfolders you've been looking at, so they'll keep them open. Here's my flow control come in, drop it in, it is that easy. So this is one of the easiest ways to find symbols that you're looking for and insert them. If you right click on the symbol, you can do multiple things to manipulate the symbol, rotate it, mirror it, and also you can pull up properties from the symbol. So you can change the identifier if you don't like the automatic one that Festo FluidDraw has assigned to you, and you can also insert a numerical part number. So if you're pulling up a bill of material or report later on, it will pull up this field and you can put it into your parts. But for now, let's just accept everything as default. And I'll show you one of the other powerful ways to insert components into FluidDraw. If we use Quick Search Plus and create a list of components, Quick Search Plus has a fantastic little button that you can automatically import the list into FluidDraw. You just click on this. I know it says FluidDraw 5, disregard that. As long as you use the professional one, it will import the list without issues regardless of what FluidDraw you have. Here's the list of components. We say OK. And now we can drop everything down. Now to manipulate the items and line them up to make a nice drawing, it's very easy also. So if you click on our actuator, you can see as I'm hovering over the ports, a red line appears that says that a pneumatic connection is going to be made as long as it doesn't cross another component. So this way you can very easily align the components and a pneumatic connection is already made. Also, if you grab our one-way flow control, instead of having to break the line and connect it again, all we have to do is just insert it in the middle of the component, and you can see it has already been broken without issues. FluidDraw is also smart in such a way that if you have two flow controls going side by side, it will not connect your ports. It just knows that you're trying to align. As you see, all our components here have text about the part numbers, and they're kind of getting in the way. But so very easily you can just click on the text and move it, but it doesn't break the link between the components. So if I move my valve around, now this is the orientation of the text is exactly the same as I've set it before. Now to connect the rest of the components, there's nothing easier. Just hover over the port that you want to connect. You'll see the symbol change. Click, drag, and it's connected. Now when it comes to silencers and plugs for ports, there's a number of ways of doing it. As you can see here in our library, a silencer can appear. If it is dropped down, what we can do is rotate it. Move it along, and as you see here, it's now a component that is has its own identifier and it is separate. What you can also do is right click on the port and just add a silencer in. This way it becomes a sub part of this component and it will not show up in any bill of materials. If this is something that you do in your factory or your standard operating procedures, that they have just a fitting cabinet and you just don't want to spec every single little thing on your drawings. If you do want to spec it and you still want to make it part of the group, one of the easiest things to do, you can right click just like any other software out there. You can group these together, and now we can orientation is stays. So what we can do is move it around, orient it the way we want it. So one last thing we have to do is add air to our little circuit. So here's our compressed air standard symbol. Connect it, and you saw this is easy. This is how easy it is to create a very simple pneumatic circuit and make it look very professional, except for this little text here moving around, and there we go. It's worthy of an Academy Award right now. Let's look at some of the other ways to insert symbols into our drawing. If we click on the Insert tab, you'll see the options here. The first one we're going to take a look at is from Festo Catalog. Once this window pops up, it will give us a search field that we can enter a part number from Festo and see the symbols available. Let's just enter the famous Festo part number. Here you can select which version of the symbol you would like to see. Go for the traditional. Double click on the part. Here you can create a list of components so you don't have to reopen the window again and again. And click OK. And just like before, symbol gets dropped, and here it is. Another way of entering symbols into the drawing is from the Find Symbol Description option. This window, when it pops up, what it allows you to do is search by a description of the component you're looking for. Let's just say we're looking for that 5-2 valve. So 5-2 monostable, here are all the options. You can scroll down and select the one that we're looking for. And here's the one we are looking for, so let's say OK. And insert it into our drawing. The one disadvantage with generic symbols from in FluidDraw is if we look at the properties for the component, there is no part number associated with it. So therefore, in the bill of materials report, this will not be filled in automatically. As we compare this to our symbol that we found from the famous valve, part number is already associated with it, and later on we'll see how this will show up in the bill of material. So now let's take a quick look at one of the best-selling features of FluidDraw, and that is of turning the valve terminals into pneumatic schematics. First thing we need is a new page. So just like before, we're just going to add a new page to the pneumatic section. Now we're just going to flip over to Quick Search Plus and grab ourselves a pneumatic code. Control V, drop it down, and there is our valve terminal. A quick tip, if we press the letter F, it is Fit All, so you can now see the complete drawing. And also, if you have any component that has an orange box around it, that is a warning label telling you that it's crossing either another component or it's outside of the page. So now that we have inserted our valve terminal, you can see that it doesn't fit on one page because of our paper size. The option is we can change the paper size, or we can break it apart multiple pages. If you've ever done this in any other CAD package, you know that this is a painful endeavor as you're cutting and pasting and creating links from page to page. FluidDraw makes this very easy. Once you have the component selected, just right click and distribute it to multiple pages. Now you see a preview window of how FluidDraw will do the break. As you see, the end caps are on their last one is only going to be a drawing for end cap. FluidDraw, like anything else, is a program, so it gets silly once in a while. But it allows you to move around between the different stages. So therefore, we can have a little more distributed valve manifold, making the last page a little more sense than just a end cap. Once we have selected how our pages want to be divided up, all we have to do is click OK. Now you see that FluidDraw has given us multiple pages already in the same subfolder with a subscript indicating that these are the second, third, and fourth page of test 2 where the valve terminals are broken apart. And our valve terminal now is complete, including the last page, which we have modified to include that one valve and not just the end plate. So a quick tip on valve terminal placement. As you see here, our valve terminal is in the middle of nowhere because I didn't take particular care to when placing the valve terminal. You can grab and move the valve terminal anywhere you want, so it's still freely available. But if you take a moment and anchor it properly in the first place, then the same anchor point is going to be used throughout each one and they won't have to get adjusted. To do this, all we have to just go back to our insertion point before we broke the valve terminal across multiple pages, which is basically Control Z, as in any other applications. Or you can click on the back arrow. It will also take you back. Now you see we're back to the insertion point. All I can do is now move the valve terminal, and here's my anchor point on the upper left-hand corner, and go through the same steps. And as you see now, the valve terminal is in the bottom, and each page is going to have the same anchor point. So therefore, you can go on drawing your components above, and you have space, and the valve terminals will be nicely. Now let's take a step back to the basic pneumatic drawing we've done earlier, and draw the electrical diagram for this. As you see here under the electrical subfolder, I've already created the page. So first step, let's draw the positive and negative bus bar. To do this, we're going to use the construct line tool. Here you can set what kind of line you like to create. So later on in reports, you can have these electrical lines or pneumatic or hydraulic lines show up. For now, we're going to use the electrical lines. We're going to use the ability to draw multiple lines and include the identifiers. We'll use also the same tool to draw the rungs. This time we're going to define multiple lines. We're not going to display any of the identifiers, and we're going to draw each rung one at a time. You can draw multiple rungs, as many as you like, until you hit escape. Now let's add the solenoid coil to this electrical diagram. For this, we're going to use the standard symbol library. All we're going to do is go up to the electrical symbols, scroll down and find our solenoid coil, and drop it down just like with any pneumatic component. One of the most powerful things with FluidDraw is the ability to link components. Right now, the solenoid coil on the electrical diagram and the pneumatic diagram are completely different. They're separate components with no linking, but obviously they're the same part. So now let me show you how to link these together. To do this, we have to go to the pneumatic diagram, right click onto the valve, click Properties. Under Connection Labels, now we can browse to find the link. We have to go down the tree and locate the coil in our electrical drawing and hit select. Now we can find target. So what this does is it follows the link to our electrical diagram. Now what we want to do is make sure that that identifier, as seen here, is going to be linking to the solenoid valve. We can do this manually and set this up, but obviously there must be an easier way. Under identification, what we're going to do is set the symbol as a sub-symbol, and what we're going to do is browse for the valve. Just as before, all we have to do is find our valve, click select, apply, and OK. And within 1 minute, you see the identifier has changed, and now these two components are linked. We can right-click, jump to target, and now you can see which valve you are looking at. For simple circuits, this is obviously not very keen to show the powers of FluidDraw, but you can imagine with a more complicated circuits with multiple valves and solenoid coils, it would be very easy to hunt for the identifiers, which makes this very useful. Also, this link is going to translate if you PDF the drawings. So if you are saving the drawings in PDF format on your network and as a package, these links will be live. So you've seen that was relatively easy, but there is actually an easier way. If we go back to our electrical diagram, and what we're going to use this time is unplaced objects. Every time you place a component, like a valve or solenoid coil, it will get dropped into here. And this way, we can drop a link component onto our drawing and give it a moment to update, and there it is. Now we can see that the second coil on the solenoid valve has been dropped in without us needing to link. And both components work exactly the same way. We can jump to target. It just still links to the same valve. Let's go back to the electrical diagram and finish off the drawing. We're going to add some switches to this electrical diagram. We're going to go back to the standard symbol library, scroll down till we find some single pole switches, and we're going to add standard push buttons. The last thing we're going to do about the electrical diagram is to add a terminal strip. For this, we're going to click on the multiple terminal command. If you haven't clicked on this before, the pop-up window to set a new terminal strip will pop up. Here you can set your identifier and how many terminals you want. I'm just going to take the defaults. And now we have the multiple terminal window pop up. We're going to set the direction we want to show. We're going to display identifiers and click OK. Just as before with when we were setting the rungs, we can keep clicking in as many times as we want until we hit escape. Now this is getting a little bit crowded, so let me show you a quick little trick on how to move things in FluidDraw. If you hover over the item, see the icon change, you can move multiple lines all at the same time. This would be different than if you click once, then you move the individual piece of the line. It says which would make it a little harder to keep everything aligned. By just hovering over the line, we can adjust it to the way we want it to make it look professional. So the last feature of the FluidDraw I'm going to show you is the reporting structure. So if we go back to our very simple in the pneumatic drawing, we're going to click under the Insert tab under the Report. Here we can see a bunch of reports, standard reports that are available in FluidDraw, and you can make your own user-defined ones. First, we're going to go on the parts and single position part list. We're going to set what we want to show, and in here you can only include the selected files. Therefore, you can set a whole project bill of material if you want a report that way, or if you want a drawing this is a list of parts. All we have to do is just select the page of parts that we want to pull from. So here's the test page we've done, and we click OK. And as you can see, it's that easy to insert our component. As you see here, it says we have a problem with one of the silencers that we've done earlier, where showed you the two different options to insert silencers. Either make it an option on the terminal, which does not show up, or we can insert it from the standard symbol library. As you can see here, the standard symbol library doesn't have a part number associated with it. To rectify this, all we have to do is click on the component, right-click, click on Properties, and under the part number, we would insert the part number here. If, for some reason, you're not familiar with Festo part numbers intimately, what you can do is click on the Find icon, or command, and this will take you to the Insert from Catalog page. And now, we can find the part number we're looking for. So like these. Click on OK. All the attributes have been downloaded and input into the part number associated with the symbol now. Click OK. As you see here, now the part number has been filled in, and also the description and the type code. Now that you see our report has been all filled out, but we see that GQ1 is the generic supply symbol. It's showing up in our bill of material, and this is something we don't want. To rectify this, all you have to do is click on the component, right click, go back to properties, and uncheck the display in parts list. Click OK. As you see here, now it has been removed.
So for the last part of this presentation, we're going to just cover some tips and tricks to make life a lot easier when working with FluidDraw. One of the first ones we're going to cover is to display the valve terminals in their traditional format. So let's just grab our handy dandy valve terminal here. And just like before, we just place it in. And now the valve terminal is rather large. This is the new format, makes things a lot easier to draw above the valve, the actuators, flow controls, and anything like that. But if you ever want to have the old version of the valve terminal, just click on Manage, Options. Under Product Catalog, there's this little option right here, Insert Legacy Valve Terminal. Just click that on. And now you can see it's a lot more compact. It gets a little crowded, I would say, but you can still insert the old valve terminals if you do not like them. So the next tip is for the legacy users of FluidDraw, those people who've been with us for a long time. As I've mentioned earlier, it's just that the menu system has gone to the new Windows ribbon type of system. But if you have somebody who's been using FluidDraw for a long time and they're very familiar with the old system, there is an option under the Manage Options menu where you can use classic styles. Click OK. And now what you have is the old look for FluidDraw, very familiar. So therefore, if customers have gone to FluidDraw 6, but they're used to the old menu bars, and so they don't have to relearn the whole system if they don't want to. The options are, again, now under Tools, Options. You can turn this off and go back to the ribbon style. One last thing about this Manager Options tab is you can import and export all the options out there that are in this in these settings. Therefore, directories where you want to save your drawings, everything else, makes organizing and setting up new employees at an engineering firm very easy. That way, you don't have to deal with naming layers, folder locations, translation tables, which we're going to cover next. All this is going to be preset in here, and you can import it with a click of a button. One of the last things we're going to deal with is setting the languages for your project. There's a number of ways of doing this, and this would be very prevalent for our customers who deal with the large Spanish-speaking population in Mexico and southern United States, or in northern provinces, the ones who are dealing with Quebec. So first thing what you can do is Festo has a number of languages already preset. If you go under your global settings for your project, you can have a language tab. Here you can set whatever language you're looking for. Say French, click OK. And as you can see here, everything changes to French. But certain things don't, because they don't have properties, they're just text that's written in. There's another way of doing this. So let me just switch this back. Is Festo FluidDraw allows you to do translation tables, specifically custom translation tables. So here we're just going to create a new one. I'll show you what this is all about. You have to name it. I'm just going to click one. Here's the translation table. Now, what text are you going to translate? What you can do is you can extract a project text from the list, and you can select whatever component you're looking for, and you can translate into it. Let's add a language. Say we want our specific dialect in Quebecois, not just for French translation. English shows up, so we're just going to just delete that very easily. And let's see how this works. It is an example. You can go through this and add text to translate anything that you're looking for. And we're gonna go. So now I have found the text that I want to translate to our Quebecois. All we do is just select it in here and drop the text in whatever you like. This would can take into account local variants for components. If there is something in a specific industry that is a jargon based, that is not in translation table, instead of modifying each component, what you can do is select a translation table and give yourself that jargon term so it's clear and concise in the industry you're looking for. Once we click OK, nothing happens. Why? Because we have to actually set the language that we're using. So we're going to go into page settings. We're going to use languages. We're not going to inherit it from our parent. We're going to use a translation table. And next thing is very important. We're going to select the translation you want to use. Now, the software goes in and translates the text that are there to be translated. Note that for translations that are not there, that are not global, you will get the orange box indicating that you haven't provided a translation error. This can be easily remedied by hitting the Manager tab, the translation table. Note that the translation table that we just created is still up and running. And all we have to do is find our accumulated part list text that we want to translate. Click in here, translate the text, hit OK, and like that, it has been translated. Thank you for watching a quick overview for FluidDraw. I hope you learned something. Also, I hope I sparked an interest in this amazing piece of software.